And a nice little article from Zero Hedge. The IMF vampire squid, usually that term is strictly for Jamie Dimon or actually Goldman Sachs. Doesn't Max Kaiser use that? The vampire squid, Goldman Sachs? But there's a much bigger vampire squid. It's called the IMF, International Monetary Fund, who lends money to countries they know can't pay it back, and then when they struggle, they change the terms, make it sweeter deal. We'll help you even more. We'll give you more of a bailout too. But the second time around, if you don't pay us back, we're going to own everything in your country. Public stuff, public toll roads, water, electric, they'll own it all. Because you couldn't pay us back. But you knew they couldn't pay you back in the beginning. And as a matter of fact, the so-called president or prime minister of the country already knows that. He's just doing his job to his elite masters. Sell the country out to my puppet masters. And then when it happens, he'll say, I'm sorry, I didn't even know, we tried, So let's see what we got going on here. Argentine president admits more poverty to come, announces price controls, higher taxes, and smaller government. Having been told by the IMF that he must stop using their bailout funds to prop up his currency, which has been utterly futile, by the way, Argentine President Mauricio Macri addressed the troubled nation this morning, being the 3rd of September, to announce his plans to satisfy Christine Lagarde's demands in order to receive the next tranche of bailout cash sooner. Things have not worked out so well since the IMF bailed them out. Again, when you have a credit card problem, you say, not even a credit card problem, I need this much money coming in every month to pay these bills. Uh-oh, not going to cut it this month. What do? Put it on credit. Got a brand new credit card, zero on there, zero balance, use it. Well, there's interest attached to all credit cards, right? Correct. And there's interest attached to that IMF loan, correct? Absolutely. Put it on the credit card. When things get a little better, we'll pay the card down. Except things don't get better. Now you've got 2 credit cards, 3 credit cards. What's the solution? Let's go to a bigger entity, the IMF, to help us with these 3 credit cards and the original problem, right? You can't fix a debt problem by adding more debt. There's one positive side. There's probably at least a small amount of Argentine citizens who see this happening, know what's going to happen, look over at Venezuela and say, we don't want that here, and are going to be currently looking for other options to save their financial livelihoods. And they might start investing in cryptocurrencies, if I had to guess. In his address, there was good news, bad news, and ugly news. Quote, everyone has to make sacrifices, he implored of his nation's citizens, who have lost 50% of their wealth, year to date, by the way, due to the collapse of the peso, the Argentine peso, which he also attributes to being exaggerated by Turkey and Brazil weakness. Having blamed most external factors for the collapse of the economy, not binging on too much dollar-denominated debt in order to manufacture a smoke and mirrors-based boom, Macri notes that investors have started doubting Argentina's ability to function. So the good news? Macri has promised to dramatically shrink the size of the government, eliminating several ministries entirely, adding that Argentina must set a goal not to spend more than we have. Whoa. He just said it. Don't spend more than you have. But you need a bailout right now, correct? Yeah. That's spending more than you have. Because you got to pay that back now. See how that works? And I'm going to make a prediction. Be ready to be completely shocked. They won't be able to pay it back. I've been doing this for many years, following the IMF and their dirty little tactics every country they go to. They do this everywhere. There's been one country on the face of the earth, only one, that was able to pay back the loan and not get screwed over. And that, quick look surprised, was Iceland. Remember that? Only one ever that I'm aware of, anyways. They destroyed Greece and everywhere else they go. IMF. Anyways, the good news: Macri has promised to dramatically shrink the government and not spend more than we have. The bad news: in an effort to close its budget gap, Macri will raise taxes on its one positive economic attribute: its exporters. The ugly news: amid the hyperinflationary regime shift that is occurring, Macri will resort to price controls. That's usually what socialist nations do, of some essential foods. When has that ever ended well, says Zero Hedge. All of this, as Bloomberg notes, is intended to signal a shift in the government strategy as it heads into talks on Tuesday with the International Monetary Fund to speed up the disbursement of cash from a $50 billion credit line. To roughly translate the plan above, some exporters are going to be killing it because of the plunging peso. So we are going to tax them into ground over their fair share. Macri is now caught between the rock of pleasing investors by cutting spending and the hard place of ensuring that the belt tightening of austerity doesn't cause social upheaval ahead of next year's election. And these measures, he has warned, will lead to more poverty, he says. Argentina has set a target to balance the budget in 2019 and achieve a primary fiscal surplus of 1% in 2020, thanks to raising over 350 billion pesos in export taxes. As we noted previously, this is going to be as painful as it is hard to achieve. Meanwhile, further pressuring the economy will be the strong fiscal adjustment that will be enacted per IMF instructions in 2019. Start with zero, explained the government when asked how it will achieve its fiscal balance. That would mean not only higher taxes, but slashing spending and a wave of popular unrest and political chaos. As Infobae predicts, the 1.3% primary deficit is now a thing of the past, and the government is hoping to reach levels between 0.4 and 0.5%, a fiscal goal that is as ambitious as it is difficult to meet. I will wish them lots and lots of luck, because you know how this goes. These countries are sold off to the highest bidder of the club. They want their resources. They want their tax money. They want the toll roads. They want the electricity. They want it all. So they'll make them a loan that they can't pay back. They know they can't pay it back, but they do it anyways. The government stands out. The leader. We must do what they say. We're going to privatize that industry. We're going to privatize that. And that word privatize is exactly what I just explained to you. Selling off something that the public owns to this robber baron bankster club member. Take care.